Okay, let me continue the next section. Okay, with Mr. Toshi again. I think you enjoy your coffee breaks already. I think so. If not, there's coffee provided all the time here. But we continue with Mr. Toshi again.
Sure, thank you. Welcome back, everyone. Just give me a sec, right? Let me try to. Before I even start, how many of you want to install a validator so that I will create that many VMs only, containers? One. How many? If it's one, I'll just create one. If it's two, I'll just create, okay, 3 of you. 4. Who else wants to install a validator? The first part of the tutorial will be installing a validator. We will be using Routinator. There are many validators. We will show you how to do in one. How many? 2, 3, 4, 5. So what? Do I spin up to 10 containers? Is that good enough? You don't want to do. You want to do. Please come on the table if you want. Oh, you're okay sitting there? Don't worry, you don't need anything. All you need is a terminal, SSH terminal. I'll spin it up the containers there. Okay, let me be generous and maybe start about 20 containers in case there are people who want to come. Okay, while the containers are starting, let's quickly run through this. Yeah, I'll give you a container each on my server because I have the whole setup and the templates done for everyone. Okay, so implementation. Wow, what happened to this? Why is the slide all over the place? No. It is gone to the other side. It's split. All right, sorry about that. Too many bugs there. Okay, first step in anything is creating your ROAs, right? Please go to your My APNIC portal. I could do a live demo, but I don't want to do because whenever I try to do live demo, something goes wrong. The problem with creating a ROA is you need the right credentials. If you don't have the right credentials, Anna is here. If you need help, please ask Anna, okay? If you want to create your ROAs and you need help, please log in into your My APNIC portal, go under resources, go under certification, and you will be brought to this page, which will give you a list of all the resources you have in My APNIC, right? Once you go there, you go ahead and create your ROA. Specify the origin AS, specify the prefix, specify the max length, and go ahead and add or submit. Okay? It's straightforward. So I'll not spend much time here. So once you have created your ROAs, you need to verify that your ROAs are seen by others also, right? So this is a public interface that APNIC exposes to one of the validators that APNIC runs, right? It uses RIPE's validator version 2.25. So you can actually check your, if you want, once you have created your ROAs, in this example, 61.45.248.0/24, you can check and it will say, okay, the origin AS is 135533. This is the prefix, this is the max length, and the trust anchor is the APNIC trust anchor. Right? This is for those who want GUI. If you don't like GUI like me, point yourself to rr.entity.net. Entity runs a IRR database, and their IRR database also creates route and route 6 objects based on ROAs, which is a very good thing. They started doing this since July last year, job sliders. So what I could do is, using the CLI whois, point it to rr.entity.net, give my prefix, and if I check, it will say that, hey, there is a valid ROA for this. Right? Once you create your ROA, if you want to find out whether your ROA is populated correctly in the global repository or not. Okay? If you're not happy with entity, go ahead, BGP-mon. Right? So there are lots of options. All I'm trying to show is, so on BGP-mon, go ahead. The good thing about BGP-mon is it allows you to match against origin AS also. So in this example, the second example, I'm pointing it to BGP-mon and I'm trying to match it against the origin AS for this prefix, and it'll give me that match. In case you want to verify things and automate things. And if worse comes to worse, use Hurricane Electric's BGP toolkit, right? Type in your prefix. If you have a valid ROA, it'll show you a green key. But it doesn't tell me anything, so I would suggest you first try the other options, because the other options will tell you, hey, this is missing or that is missing at least, right? So what you have done, you have already created your ROAs. You have checked that your ROAs are published, and the next step is for you to now start deploying a validator, right? Lots of options. For the first year when we were trying to do validation, it was only Dragon Research. Randy Bush and his validator. That was the only one that we could rely on, right? For a long time. But Randy has given up. He's not updating his validator anymore. I met him at Apricot and he's saying, no, he has spent 8 years of his life. He's saying he's not willing to invest anymore. But don't worry, there are many options now, right? So RIPE has had validators for a long time. Their latest version is Validator version 3, which they were trying to architect a bit differently compared to previous versions. In the previous versions of RIPE Validator, the validating function and the RTR function were built into one. That means when things go wrong, it crashes most of the time. So they try to split that. They try to split the validation part, and they try to split the RTR part. I hope you understand what I mean by they split the validation and RTR, right? What I'm trying to say is these are two different functions. Let me quickly bring it up. This is what I'm trying to say. This is one function up to here. This is validation, right? It pulling your routes down, ROAs into this. This functionality and this functionality are two different functions. One is the RTR function between your router and the validator. The other one is your validator pulling all these ROAs. So there are two distinct functions, right? So what I'm trying to say is when it comes to validators, where am I now? Somewhere. Yep. When it comes to validators, so RIPE version 3, it's trying to split that, but it's having quite a buffer issue, so we have reported some bugs back to RIPE. Dragon Research, and then my favorite now is Routinator, NLNet Labs. This is my favorite because it's install and forget. You don't have to do anything. It doesn't crash, it doesn't do anything, it's very lightweight. It's based on Rust. I really like it, very lightweight. RIPE Validator, it's very good, but the problem with RIPE Validator, it's Java dependency. Anything that depends on Java is quite heavy anyway. But they have a nice web interface where you can manage your ROAs and everything. And from Cloudflare, lately, RPKI is their validator tool that pulls the ROAS, and then they have a Go RTR, which is the RTR module based on the Go language. So Cloudflare has developed this. So you have lots of options now, right? Write validator, pull it from there. You can manually compile and then run it. But with any validator, the problem is ARIN North America, the trust anchor. For all the other RIRs, it's okay. APNIC is okay, RIPE is okay, LACNIC is okay, APNIC is okay to get the root certificate, which is the trust anchor locator. But for North America, ARIN, it's a country run by lawyers, right? They always have problem. So they're saying you have to manually download because you agree to the terms and conditions first. They don't guarantee that it will be wrong or right. Right? So that's the problem with ARIN stuff. So Mark Tinker, CCOM Africa, they are not using ARIN's trust anchor. They are dropping invalids, but they say we will not use ARIN's trust anchor. That means gradually the whole world might be able to isolate the American ISPs gradually. Because you need to first accept their terms and condition, which literally says that they don't guarantee anything. Anything could be wrong. So that's how the Americans do it. Right. So RIPE Validator has a nice web interface. Right. It will give you a nice detail of how many ROAs you have been able to pull, what are the trust anchors from where you have been able to pull them. Right. And it'll give you a nice RTR session detail also, right? Dragon Research, pretty much straight, pretty much direct. apt install RPKI RP and then it's installed. I'm trying to show Ubuntu similar for Debian. It's pretty straightforward with Dragon Research too. Again, the problem of ARIN's trust anchor exists, okay? You need to manually download their trust anchor also for them. They also have a nice GUI, Dragon Research. I hope that Randy just doesn't kill it. I hope he gives it to someone to maintain it. Maybe we need volunteers. He's an old man, so that's why I understand if he doesn't want to run it. But this is a very good tool. And APNIC's RPKI system is actually based on his code. Most of the RPKI systems that RIRs use is based on Randy's code. So we need to maintain it, I think. Right. I'm not showing Routinator because Routinator, I want you to do it yourself. I will give you VMs. I have a wiki page where I have written the lab handout. I want you all to install Routinator. So I'm just showing two here. Cloudflare's RPKI gave me some problems when I was trying to create this tutorial, so I don't have it. I'll have it next time. So this is so what you have done, you have created your ROAS first. You have published your ROAS second. You have deployed your validator. Now you're ready to start doing route origin validation. You are ready to let your router talk to the validator. So this is that part. Cisco iOS, single line command. Single line, BGP RPKI server, TCP, the IP address of the validator, the port number. Now it depends, okay? The port number, I have listed all the port numbers. One thing I don't like about Dragon Research Validator is the port number 323. Right, ma'am? Port number 323. Problem with this port number is what? It's a standard port. You need root access. Too risky. I don't want to run things with root accounts, okay? It's very dangerous from a security perspective. RIPE 8282. Cloudflare also uses port number 8282. Routinator, I like how Routinator uses port 3323 because the RFC says use port number 323. Routinator guys are all developers. They realize that if I run it with port 323, I need root access. So they say, but the RFC says 323. So they add an extra 3. It's non-standard port, but I still follow the RFC. Right? So they use 323. And I never liked this in 2014 when I first did route origin validation for Bhutan Telecom's network because we didn't know much. We were learning and all of a sudden it drops everything. But now I really appreciate they drop invalids. Cisco's iOS drops invalids. Right? If you are those people who don't want to drop invalids, you need to tell BGP, Cisco's BGP, to not to drop invalids because Cisco will not consider invalids for best path selection. Of course, you will see it in the BGP table, but you won't see it in the routing table because it doesn't take it for best path selection. Right? Cisco's iOS. But the RFC does not say whether you should drop or not. Cisco decided we will drop, right? This is an example of RFC 7115 where they recommend, instead of dropping invalids, that if you want to define policies, this is what you do, right? Give your valids the highest local preference, give your not founds the medium local preference, and your invalids the lowest preference. But again, it's your network, it's your choice. You want to drop it. It's only 6,000 routes. Out of 760,000 routes in V4, only 6,000 routes are invalids. You want to drop it, you drop it. But I always say, it's your network, your choice. Have a look at the top flows in your network. Right, have a look at that. Look at the invalids. If none of the flows go to that, drop it. And if we all start dropping it, then those invalids become the unreachable part of the internet, right? They will have to fix their problems. And then you apply that route map on inbound updates from your eBGP neighbors. So if you do route origin validation, you just need to do it on the border routers, right? On your edge routers, on your transit routers, on your peering routers, only do it on that. You don't need to do rove on every router in your network. Does that make sense? Just implement it on your border. Now you can propagate that to your IBGP peers, or you can act on it at the border. I don't have to do it on every router in my network. If I have 100,000 routers, I don't need to do it. Just do it on my edge, where I have eBGP peers. Where I don't have eBGP peers, I don't need to do it. Where I have eBGP peers, I need to do it. Right. For JunoS, specify the validator, give the validator IP. Okay, refresh time for both Cisco and Juniper. This refresh time is the RTR session between your router and the validator. How often do you want the router to pull the cache from the validator? Because you need to have a shorter refresh time, because so many people have not created ROAs at the moment. 80% of the internet does not have ROAs. So as people create ROAs, you better sync it frequently so that you get updated ROAs. And don't worry, it uses rsync, so it won't pull the whole thing, only the new updated ones it will pull. So it's not a heavy session, right? It's a very lightweight session, okay? Specify the port number. You can create the same route map as you saw in Cisco, but this in Juniper syntax, right? Give your valids the highest, your not founds the medium, and your invalids the lowest. Don't worry, I have uploaded these slides. I'll give you the wiki page. Even if you can't see, you no need to take photos, you can take the slides. Apply that policy on your inbound for both your V4 and V6 neighbors, right? So once that RTR session is built, now you need to verify things, right? With Cisco iOS, it only gives you two options. Show BGP IPv4 or IPv6 RPKI what? It's either servers or table. If you choose the servers option, it tells you that RTR session with the validator. It gives you the details of the validator session. If you do show BGP IPv4 or IPv6 unicast RPKI table, it tells you the list of validated cache ROAs that are cached in the router. Remember, you have a validator that strips all the crypto. It has a copy of the ROA. Your RTR session pulls a copy of those ROAs and keeps in your router, but without the crypto, so it's lightweight. If you bring cryptography, it's very heavy. So without crypto, it's lightweight. So with the table option, you can see that, right? So server is this, table is this. This is good about Cisco. Cisco at least gives you that address family choice. I can look at V4 ROAs, I can look at V6 ROAs, but that's the only good thing they do. Right. JunoS does many things better, I think. And if you look at a route, show BGP IPv4 or IPv6 unicast the prefix, you can see the validation state. It says RPKI state valid. What's the origin is? Origin A is 17660, Bhutan Telecom, my former network. Show BGP IPv6 unicast this V4 address, RPKI state not found. That means somebody's too lazy to create ROAs, right? Now with JunoS, to check the RTR session, show validation session, or specify the IP address of the validator. It will give you details of the TCP session with the validator. But for you to check the tables, the ROA cache in JunoS, I don't like this, because it doesn't segregate it in address families. It's one single table. in JunoS. So if you want to automate things, it becomes a bit tedious, right? Because then you need a lot of pipes, filtering pipes, just to be able to filter what you want to see. Right? So show validation database, and we'll give you a list of all the existing rows, V4, V6, all put together. Okay. So if Juniper is in the room, I have left a small note here. It'd be nice if you have it per address family. But good thing about JunoS, it allows you to filter with origin AS. Juniper does many things right, but few things they don't get it right also. Again, if there is Cisco in the room, I would like to see this in iOS also, which allows me to do lots of filtering based on the table, right? Anyways, okay, this is a real problem, what I'm going to discuss now. After ThaiNOG 33, I was trying to help my former networks in Bhutan deploy RPKI, one of the private ISPs there. They deployed it. But the problem was their border routers were all Cisco ASR 1004, so iOS XE, and their core routers were all JunoS, MX240s. So when they were propagating RPKI state from the border, which is an iOS box, to a core router, which is a JunoS box, they did not understand the community tags. It came as unknown, unknown, unknown. Right? So let's discuss this. Sometimes it is necessary for you to propagate RPKI state. What if you have 4 paths or 5 paths out of your AS? Then you don't want your border routers to make the decision. You want your core network to make the decision because you have a nice view of the network. You choose which path you want. So that time you might have to propagate your RPKI states to the core from your border. So the way you do it is BGP extended community exists. Okay, RFC 8097 mentions this. So this all standard and reserved. The fact that it is 4.3 means it's a BGP extended community, and the last byte is used to mean the validation state for iBGP propagation. If the value is 0, it's valid. If it's 1, not found. If it's 2, it's invalid. Okay? So what happens is if I'm a border router, with this tag, before I send routes to my iBGP peers, I will tag them with any of this tag based on the validation state, and I send it across to my iBGP peers, could be my core routers, right? And when they see it, they match that tag and they interpret the state from the community tag. Right? Straightforward, theoretically at least. Right? Cisco iOS, make sure you send, BGP by default does not send communities, right? You need to send communities to neighbors. But in this case, don't just type the command send community, because that command will only push standard communities, will not push extended communities. Okay, you need to use the keyword both. That means send both the standard and extended communities. Most of us have old configurations where we use send communities only, which is standard community, right? Not the extended communities. And then you need to say to that particular iBGP neighbor, announce my RPKI state. So the moment you type that, it will then start tagging them with that RFC-based BGP extended community. 0 for valid, 1 for not found, 2 for invalid. Right? Do that for both V6 and V4. At the receiver side, same configuration. Right? There are many people whom we have asked to deploy RPKI, and then they say, hey, Tashi, everything is not found. It's because of this. Because they don't have announce RPKI state configured on both the iBGP sessions. You need to do it at both ends. If you miss on one end, everything moves to either not found or valid. So it's quite a dangerous bug in Cisco's implementation, right? So if you don't use this, like even Dr. Philip used to get pissed with Singapore POP, Bhutan Telecoms POP. RPKI was done there, and then our core router in Thimphu, it sees everything is valid. Even invalids are valid. Turns out we are missing this line. But you could miss out, right? So Cisco's documentation, I hope it is better now. But in those days, it was not really good, the documentation. So if you want documentation, maybe use this slide as a reference, right? Juniper, the same. Juniper does it a bit different, right? So what Juniper does, the concept is again the same. Remember the route maps that we were creating earlier? So we were trying to interpret things from the BGP database and then look at the validation database. If it's valid, then we used to do the preference in the earlier example. So here you add an extra line. You just add that origin validation community to it. Community, in this case, valid means community 0, right? In this case, invalid means community tag. Invalid is 2, and then not found is 1, 0, 1, and 2, right? You just need to hit this command and it'll automatically tag them with those extended communities, all right? And then on the other side, the receiving side, you need to then, Juniper does it very weirdly, right? Sending side is just tag it based on the state. On the receiving side, first pull the validation database, look at routes that have that particular tag, and then interpret it as valid or invalid or not found. So that's the logic of Junos. It looks complicated when you're trying to understand it, but configuration is pretty straightforward, right? You're not the operating system. The job is done by the operating system. You just need to make sure the configuration is right. But troubleshooting, you need to understand what the logic is, right? So this happened in Bhutan Telecom's network. If it's Juniper to Juniper, straightforward. If it's iOS to iOS, straightforward propagation. But when you mix, if you're multi-vendor environment, then you are in a problem, right? Because it seems Juniper is interpreting it very differently. So they have now raised a ticket with Juniper, and they're saying that they might be doing it wrongly. The RFC says use the last 8 bits, last byte of the BGP extended community to indicate your validation state. iOS seems to be tagging it correctly, but Juniper is interpreting it differently. It's just saying, I don't know this extended community. Right? So right now I have given them a hack. The hack is on the Cisco border router. I have asked them to match the validation state and tag it with the standard community, and then send that to Juniper, and it's a standard community, so Juniper recognizes that. Match the community, tag it as valid or invalid or unknown. But it's not a solution, right? It's a tiny hack, temporary, but it works. Right? So if you have those kind of operational problems, please let us know. I would like to document those, and every time I do this tutorial, I would like to share that with the community, okay? Just to be careful, please run at least 2 validators. The problem is the moment your RTR session, the TCP session goes down, everything is not found, right? So your invalids are also not found. So run at least 2 validators. The way we do it in APNIC training lab, I run 4 validators. That's just for me to prepare this kind of slides, but my routers talk to at least 2 validators. And since you have to do 2, try 2 different validators, right? Maybe one do Routinator, one you could do Octo RPKI, one you could do Dragon Research, or one Drive Validator, up to you, right? At least have 2. This one was discussed in Apricot Fukuoka, this second bullet point. I still don't have a solution for this. Even IXP manager people from INEX, they also tried to find out that when your router reloads, do you learn your BGP routes first or do you learn your ROAs first? It's very difficult to detect it. So IXP guys, they tried. I have tried in APNIC lab a couple of times. I somehow is not able to find out. So now I'm trying to do it a different way, where I try and propagate to my iBGP peers, and I'll see what my iBGP peers learn first, whether they learn the routes or whether they learn the ROAs. I need to find out what it is. Just letting you know, these are real problems. RIPE has this JSON interface that they provide. I use it to validate a couple of things. Using this link, what I normally do is I type in whatever AS number and whatever prefix combinations you can throw and see whether it's valid or invalid. But for automation, this is good. They give you a JSON interface, okay? And if you need more details, please go to APNIC's Ready to ROA. If you want t-shirts, let us know. Right, create your ROAs, pick up a t-shirt, create your ROAs, pick up a t-shirt. Now, the next one I would like you guys to do is, what time do we have? 30 minutes? 10 minutes? Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, okay, good. So I have built the lab into 2 modules. One is installing the validator. I have already created ROAS for 8 autonomous systems, training autonomous systems. And then the second part is to configure a router, okay? So if you could kindly go to, I hope there is internet. Let me check. So I'm running a couple of containers here. Yeah, so what I do is I made a slide. So don't worry about that. That is just me. Could you go to wiki.apnictraining.net? I think that's safer instead of this long URL. And I don't use QR codes for a reason. To scan or not to scan is a big problem with QR codes. In APNIC lab, one of my colleagues, Warren, he has managed to generate lots of QR codes that look genuine. And we presented that in apricots as to scan or not to scan. So even though it is long, please type it. I'm not going to put a QR code up there because you never know where I'll take you, right? Some of the payment portals that I see in shops, which accept all this WeChat Pay or Alipay, they all seem to have QR codes there. What if that QR code is my QR code into my account? So basically what I'm trying to say is please come to the wiki page. Can everyone access the wiki page? wiki.apnictraining.net. If you could quickly go to, yeah. So if you could go to wiki.apnictraining.net, here is the today's tutorial, RPKI and route origin validation. Please go to agenda. Sorry, this is our formality. I just keep creating. This is for documentation. So here is the lab. The lab is here, session 2. Okay. Does everyone have the lab? Take your time. It's okay. ThaiNOG. But while you are doing that wiki, please go to the wiki page and download this lab. Here is the lab. How many of you want to configure so that I can assign the containers? You want to configure? None, not necessarily. 1, 2, 3. There is 4. There is 5. You don't want to configure? Do you want to configure? It's okay, it's not difficult. Everything is in the lab handout, so you could play with it. Just play with it, right? So I have, okay, your IP address is .1, 192.168. So the lab handout has the IPs. So please, let me first give you the IP addresses, okay? So, Mike, you're .1, you're .2, you're .3. Who else? You're .4, you're .5. Anyone on this table? You're just gonna watch. .6. Anyone? Too lazy to type? Come on, people. Oh, .7. So the IP address of your containers are 192.168.30. Whatever number I gave you. SSH, please. So please connect to this SSID. There are 2 SSIDs that you will see. If your machine supports 5 gig, you will see APNIC training. If it only supports 2.4 gig, you might see a SSID called SDN1. And the password is an IPv6 address to let you type v6 address. Right. I use this in Myanmar because password is 2406. Yeah. So we were joking in Myanmar during our workshop saying that since Myanmar is not deploying V6, let's start from the passwords. Right. So we have .7. Anyone else? Hey, this table, I want someone to configure that table. You don't have a terminal? All right. Everyone connected? It's SSH, okay? Forget that telnet part. That telnet part is for router. So, can everyone SSH? The username is APNIC, the password is training. Hey, this server has no security, okay? It's for a lab. Don't go crazy on my server, okay? It also has many other things. I trust you, yeah, not to do any damage. All right? Okay, .1, are you inside the server? Okay, .2, .2, .2, are you inside the machine? .3, are you inside the machine? .4, you have no battery. Yeah, okay. 2406 colon 6400 colon /32. Right. You mean the SSID, the wireless password? Yeah. So who is .4? .4, you need power cable? From next time, I'll carry some spare power adapters. That's the password, the wireless password. But your VM password is training, okay? Username is APNIC, password is training. Is everyone inside? .1, .2, .3. Who is .4? Did you get the power adapter? Okay, you're .4, right? .5. Who is .5? Are you inside the machine? Not yet. Take your time. Who is .6? Are you inside? Good. .7 is none. He's already halfway through, I'm sure. So what I have done is when creating this container, to save time and because I'm not sure how the internet is, I pre-installed some packages for you, right? So go ahead, do this lab. So what we will be installing is we will be installing Routinator. Okay, Routinator is built using Rust, so you need to first install Rust up, which will install Rust, and then you can then directly use that to install the Routinator. So you do cargo. So Rust uses this concept of cargos and pallets, right? Very weird naming convention. That's how their package management system is. You have a tool called cargo. Within the cargo, you have something called pallets. Okay? So go ahead, have fun with this lab. It should be a pretty straightforward lab. But please remember, you need to manually download Erin's Trust Anchor. I have given you the link here. Hey, if this command does not work, please split the command. I am too lazy. I gave both the commands together, the wget and the move commands. Split them. Can you resolve host? None. Can you install it? Seriously, no DNS. Can you temporarily put something in your etcresolve.conf? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, do that. What is what? Put anything, maybe Cloudflare, whatever. Yeah. Yeah, in the resolve.conf if it doesn't work. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Training, APNIC training, right? These are containers. I'll destroy it once your lab is done. The rest of you on your phone, you need some access. Let me know if you have problems that I'm going to So let me go into document. Username APNIC password training. Very strong and I'll take .9. So .4. Network is quite slow, isn't it? The hotel network. Running through the great firewall of Novotel. Please talk to each other if you need help. Don't ask me. Make me first. I'm just hoping. So once that is done, once the validator is up and running, then you can then start doing the RTR, etc. So once everyone is done, what I will do is I'll kill this lab and then I will boot up 8 routers and then we can start doing validation. But then I need 8 people. We only have 3, right? While we are configuring that very quickly from those who are not configuring,
Yeah, but I got into the Hurricane Electric, and I have other announcement from other IRR database.
Yeah.
How can I get rid of them?
Okay, this is a good question, right? What you say is, if you had created it, you can delete it, right? If you did not create it, like let's say that prefix belonged to Mike before, and he created it before it got transferred off to you, then only his maintainer credentials can delete it. So don't worry. Although we can't wipe it out, what we can do is, like I was saying, create your route objects in my APNIC. That gets mirrored to RADB. So what we are telling, so if people are very strict with their RPSL filtering, they will always put authoritative source, like -s APNIC, -s RIPE, or -s ARIN or LACNIC, because nobody trusts RADB. It's the truth. So don't worry. Or the next step is, within APNIC, there is this discussion similar to what Job Snyder's from Entity is doing. What he is doing is, he is creating route objects based on existing ROAs. Right? So it is a very clean object, because first there is a ROA he checks, and then he creates a route object based on that ROA. That means now my automation is much cleaner. So in APNIC also we are discussing this, because APNIC is the trust anchor for ROAs. So we are anyway the root certificate authority for the ROAs. So we are saying, let's create a new IRR database, vanilla, and that will only have entries that are certified. Without a ROA, no route objects. Only ROA-based route objects, meaning when you do automation, you don't have to think twice, because it's based on certificates, the route objects, that's it. But APNIC is not a police. That's why our chief scientist and all, they don't like it when APNIC tries to do things like that, because he feels we are not the routing police. We are just a bookkeeper for the IP addresses. So, very strong opinions in APNIC. But the only way to clean up is, like you said, like I said, please create your route objects in APNIC. If you go to my APNIC portal, and if you create your route and route 6 objects, it will get mirrored automatically to all the other RADB or anything. And then people can see that, hey, there are multiple entries for the same prefix, but they will always trust source APNIC over others. Yeah. ISP to create a router inside this network to simulate your network and announce it. That's what we're saying. This is not foolproof, right? But like the two seniors in the industry say, Randy Bush and Jeff Houston, they say that, are you gonna wait for the perfect solution? They say perfect is the enemy of good, right? So at least let's do basic filtering techniques. Let's do basic create your ROAs, do route origin validation, and down the line when things happen. Yep. AS set. The AS set object based on the. So, yeah, wait. If you are IXP and if I'm one of those peers who have lots of downstream, what you have to do is, remember when I was saying that a ROA, a prefix can have multiple ROAs? So if Anna and 4 of them are behind me, they can all create ROAs with their prefix using my AS as the origin AS. Does that make sense? So all of a sudden, when you do route origin validation at the IXP, it works, because they can use my AS as their origin AS. So that's what most of the transit providers do. Those, no, even if they have, if they could, because what matters is only the owner of the prefix is allowed to do that. They can nominate any AS. You can. Yeah, so when they move, they can revoke the old ROA. Yeah. Yeah. So what you check is only the origin AS, right? You don't check the path. So for that, we need path. Whether I'm leaking or not. So that's a AS path validation. When that happens, things will be great. Yeah, that's the problem, right? No complete solution. Tiny pieces of the puzzle at the moment. But let's all do those tiny pieces at least. so that incidents like that YouTube thing doesn't happen, or that Amazon 53 doesn't. Exactly. Yeah. So exactly right. So you finished with the validator. Dot one is finished. Dot two. Dot two. Dot two. Good. Dot three. Okay. Dot four. Dot four is here. Dot five. Oh, dot five. You need some help. No, I'm just saying in case you want to configure. You don't have a router at the moment, so I'll pull up the next lab and then you can do that. You need some help? Mike, can you help dot five, please? There at the corner, there, sitting there at the corner, facing the other side. Yeah, dot five. Dot five. Mike is coming to help you. Dot six. Dot seven. Dot eight. All silent dots. Dot four is silent. Dot five is okay. Oh, dot six is there. Dot six. Any help? Finished. Good. Good. So you see, Routinator is very easy and straightforward, right? Routinator, lightweight. Install and forget kind of validator. The only bad part is they don't have a web interface where you can monitor things, but they do provide you a monitoring interface. If you go to their GitHub page, if you're worried about monitoring the status of that validator, they give you a monitoring interface with a nice port number. Okay. While you guys are working on this, let me ready the next lab, okay? You need to join somewhere here. So you have the validator up and running now. So once your validator is up and running, the next one is now for the validator to start listening to routers and RTR sessions so that you can give a copy of the cache to the routers, right? So for Routinator, it's pretty much straightforward. You run a RTR daemon, right? RTR daemon, listen on whatever IP address you have. Port number is 3323, right? Unlike Dragon Research, which uses 323, which is quite dangerous, I think. Don't run it using that port. So any non-standard port is okay. Set a refresh timer, in this case, 900 seconds, which is about what, 15 minutes? Yes, the refresh timer in this case is between the router and the default is 15 minutes. Yes, that's their default. No, this is the RTR session refresh timer between the router and that, right? So what I'll do is I'm running one more Routinator, and the topology is like this. There are 8 routers. Okay, you already have the lab handout, right? Router 13 to router 20, right? You all have an RTR session already configured with the validator. The validator IP is .240, 130.30.240. And you have real prefixes now, okay? I had no time for V6, so router 13. Mike, you're router 13. You were .1 that time, right? You're router 13, you're router 14, you're router 15, you're router 16. You're .4, right? Who is .5? Router 17. Who is .6? Good morning. So, I forgot now. What was you? 16, eh? Router 13, router 14, router 15, router 16, router 17, router 18, 19 and 20, right? Okay? So there you go, router 13 to, and it's very simple, straightforward. Okay, 1, EBGP, router 13 and 14, EBGP. 15 and 16, EBGP, 17, 18, 19, 20. Straightforward, you have only one neighbor. Yes, please. So each one of you will be announcing a rover created. You already have rovers created for your prefixes. So 61.45.248.0 is for R13, 249, R14, and so on, right? You will go ahead and announce your routes, okay? So here I have tried to play with, I don't know why this is like this, but so that's your topology. You create your BGP sessions. So to telnet to the router, R13, your port number is 2013. R14, your port number 2014. Okay? So once you are there, please follow the lab instruction and you should be pretty much okay. So first one, what you will do is you will try to announce valid routes. So your validator should be tagging them as valid routes. Next time, I want you to hijack each other's routes and announce. It should come as invalids. And the last one for now we'll be using some special addresses, reserved addresses. Yeah, you can use multicast or loopbacks or whatever you want to. They should not have a rover created, so it'll all be seen as not found. But soon, according to the RFC, all of those might be put under AS0, things that should not be seen on the internet. So down the line, probably all of these addresses will have origin AS of AS0, which means they should not exist on the internet. So follow the lab. So you will first do for valid routes, next you will do for invalid routes, and finally you will do for not founds. Okay? Have fun.
Now, I'm not sure that are you finished your lab or not? Okay, okay. By the way, I would like to invite Associate Professor Dr. Panchai Thantasnawong to give him the presents. Thank you so much for your tutorials and lab. And the next one, I would like to invite Associate Professor Dr. Panchai Thantasnawong to have the closing speech.
So I think for today, the participant is have the many knowledge from the workshop and for the speaker for today. So on behalf of Thailand and ThaiNOG, I would like to thank you for the speaker for today and the participants, especially for this workshop. And for more detail and for the material for the workshop, we put in the website of the ThaiNOG, and you can join the Line group of the ThaiNOG Line group for more information. And I think for today, this is just for the started. We need to continue to the collaboration between the NOG in the maybe ISP or in the university, something like that, and to keep in touch for the technology and for the knowledge. And thank you very much again for the speaker for the intensive workshop today. And see you next time. The session is closed now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Panchai. And for the last one, I would like to invite Mr. Kitinan Sipasearch. He is the chair of ThaiNOG's committee to say something with you.
Just formal. So first, I would like to thank you everyone again. And this event could not be happen if we don't get the support from the general sponsor from Please join me in thanking Symphony, the National Broadcasting and Telecommunication Commission or NBTC, APNIC, Facebook, Netflix, NTT Communication, TCC Technology, 3BB, Akamai, AWS, Internet Thailand, Internet Society, SuperNav Thailand, the Expert Technology and Services, Ford Thailand, SVOA, Bangkok Neutral Internet Exchange, Cisco, Anasazi, and .th Register. Last but not least, thank you very much for all speakers again, guests and participants for today's session. So you can again follow us on the website and also the Line group. We will update today's material and hope to see you again next year. And keep in touch in the group and in the website. Thank you very much for everyone again. Bye.
At the end, I would like to thank all the speakers, all the audience, all the participation for today's sections. And I hope we can see you again next year events. And good luck. Have a safe trip. Thank you.
So last we have the survey. So if you please take some time to take a survey, we will send the link back to your email again, and please give us some feedback or comment to us. Thank you.